Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hunter here at Weather on the Go. Today is Friday, May 16th, 2025, and we are tracking a significant severe weather and even tornado outbreak here on this Friday, May 16th, across the Ohio, Tennessee River Valley, back there into the southern plains. We need to be on high alert. This red area here is a moderate risk of severe weather, and on the scale, that is a 4 out of 5. So the closer you are to 5, the more likely severe weather is. So this is a pretty significant day, so you need to like the video, give it a thumbs up, and share this video with as many people as possible, friends, family, anybody that you know, so they are aware of the severe weather. And again, those likes are very important. It gets this information out to more and more people. So looking here at the red cherry color, this is a moderate risk, 4 out of 5, and the orange surrounding that is a 3 out of 5 enhanced risk. In the yellow, that's a slight risk, 2 out of 5. In the dark green, that is a marginal risk, a 1 out of 5. And it is driven by some very big hail. Could be seeing hail up to baseball size in some of the strongest of those storms that develop from west central Ohio all the way back down closer to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, North Texas, as we go into this afternoon and evening. And the tornado threat obviously is a very high-end threat. Into the yellow, that is a 10%, also hatched risk. In the red, that is a 15% hatched risk of tornadoes within a 25-mile point. And where you see these hatch marks, that's where we could be seeing those upper echelon tornadoes that could be on the ground for a long period of time. We're talking EF2 to EF5 strength within this area. Even outside the area in brown and green, you have a 5 and 2% chance of tornadoes respectively from portions of North Texas all the way back over into Delaware. So a large area at real estate for tornadoes. And then you look here at the wind. As these storms grow upscale into lines and clusters, they could be producing winds upwards to 80 miles per hour as they move across Kentucky here into West Virginia into the overnight hours. So let's look here at the setup, and we have a negatively tilted trough, very strong low pressure for mid-May standards up in the upper Midwest, and that's driving a lot of our instability up into the Great Lakes region, into the Ohio Valley here this afternoon. And look at the storm energy down here. Once you get into Texas, Arkansas, western Kentucky, and Tennessee there, that in the purple is 4,000 joules per kilogram of instability or storm energy. So a lot of the storms, when they develop, are going to have a lot of energy to play with to produce some really significant severe weather, and that could be in the form of tornadoes, hail, and some strong winds. So let's look here at the noon hour. We already have a cluster of showers and storms on a weakening trend from the bluegrass state of Kentucky, mainly the eastern side of the state, into northern portions of Tennessee. We fast forward to the 3 o'clock hour, that continues to push off to the east. Renewed development back to the west. We need to watch areas near St. Louis, back into the boot heel of Missouri and southern Illinois for initial supercells. Those could pose a risk for some very large baseball-size hail and a couple strong tornadoes. And then as we go to the 6 o'clock hour, notice those supercells really peaking across the Ohio, Tennessee River Valley, down there toward the southern plains. Yes, storms will start to unzip down the front all the way to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so we need to be on high alert for tornadoes even down there. And then going into the 9 o'clock hour, we're going to start to see these storms cluster up with embedded supercells. So tornadoes are still going to be possible even as lines of storms develop. Typically with lines of storms, we see more damaging winds and hail versus tornadoes, but still an ongoing tornado threat across Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, down into Tennessee, northern Mississippi, into Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas as we go into the evening hours, and then the wee hours of the morning on Sunday, or Saturday, that will shift further off towards the east. Looking here at the maximum updraft helicity, this shows you where the most intense updrafts will be, and obviously if you correlate the more intense updrafts, you're going to get bigger hail, you're going to get stronger winds, and you're going to get stronger tornadoes. And notice that's really kind of centered over Kentucky into northern portions of Tennessee and the boot heel of Missouri, also a secondary swath up there into Indiana and Ohio. So we are keeping a very close eye on that through Saturday morning. Going into Saturday, that trough weakens a bit as it pushes across the Great Lakes, but still producing severe weather along the front. We have a 2 out of 5 slight risk down here in Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. We also have a slight risk from New York State all the way through New Jersey, Eastern portions of Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Delaware, down into Virginia and North Carolina, keeping an eye on some higher population out there like New York City, Trenton, all the way down into Washington, D.C., and Dover, all the way down into Raleigh. Going to be keeping a very close eye on those areas going into Saturday. Damaging winds upwards to 60 miles per hour, hail, and especially back here into the southern plains. I think these areas into North Texas, into southeast Oklahoma, and into southern Arkansas could be seeing up to golf ball, maybe even up to tennis ball size hail, and then seeing some tornadoes potentially over there into the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. We're seeing a 5% chance of tornadoes in Brown, 2% in the green surrounding that, including southern portions of Arkansas and southeastern Oklahoma, and then a 2% chance of tornadoes in much of the northeast and mid-Atlantic states going into tomorrow as well. And again, a lot of our stronger instability is going to be favored down here into Texas. So let's look at that here for tomorrow morning. Very quiet out there, but as we go through the day, here's the noon hour. Still pretty quiet. We're watching some storms trying to initiate around noon to about 2 o'clock here, and they're going to develop right over the Metroplex and start to pose the risk for damaging wind gusts, large to very large hail up to tennis ball size like we mentioned, and the potential for a few tornadoes. Going into the evening hours, notice those supercells really starting to cluster up there into southeast Oklahoma, southward along the I-35 corridor, including the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and those will extend into Arkansas and northern Louisiana into Saturday evening. For the east, it's going to be more isolated over here, but severe weather will be possible as we go into Saturday afternoon. Some of these storms will again pose a risk for wind, hail, and a couple of tornadoes. I think damaging winds will probably be the main risk over here with the low pressure up into Canada. A lot of wind energy, so damaging winds should be the primary hazard further out to the northeast. Now let's look at our new trough coming in. Yes, we're not done. As we go into Saturday, another trough comes in onshore of the west coast. It's going to move across the Rockies and Four Corners region on Sunday, and then just kind of sit across the plains. So dry line setups are going to be very big as we go into the latter half of the weekend. This is Sunday, May 18th, already a 3 out of 5 enhanced risk across Kansas and into northern Oklahoma. I think this will be expanded, possibly upgraded to a moderate risk as we get closer. And significant severe weather, you can see outlined in black, those hatch marks could be possible. Strong tornadoes, that could be long tracked, EF2, EF5 strength, very large hail over 2 inches to 3 inches in diameter, and some 80 mile per hour wind gusts possible here as well. Look at the setup for Sunday. Dry line setup, we got the warm front up here to the north. In the warm sector, dew points will be in the low to mid 70s, very moisture rich environment. It's air you can wear. You walk outside, you can feel it without doing any exercise or any activities out there. And notice our storm energy up to 5,000 joules per kilogram. That's on the upper echelon of this scale, and it's going to be overspread by a pretty strong jet streak as it rounds the base of that trough coming in. So all the ingredients on Sunday are coming together for a rather significant, perhaps another tornado outbreak for the central and southern plains as numerous supercells develop, and they will likely be intense Sunday afternoon and into Sunday evening. Extending into early next week, the threat continues on Monday. Another 3 out of 5 enhanced risk there into southeastern Kansas, east central Oklahoma, slight risk extending up there into Iowa. That's a 2 out of 5. And then on Tuesday, a slight risk 2 out of 5 from Missouri, Illinois, back down into East Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, West Tennessee, and Kentucky, down into northern Mississippi on Tuesday, May 20th. So we don't get a break, and we look here at those days. On Monday, here comes the storms into the afternoon and evening, and then Tuesday, once again, we have another round of some active weather into the afternoon and the evening. So by the middle of next week, by Wednesday morning, May 21st, we're going to have a lot of rainfall here across the middle of the country, favoring the Mississippi Valley, especially with multiple rounds of storms in the eastern plains. That's where we could see upwards to 6 inches of rain and flash flooding could result. Now let's look here at the temperatures. We haven't talked much about this yet, and it's going to still be warm ahead of our front. That's going to give us the severe weather chances heading into this afternoon. In fact, our highs are going to be record-breaking from Texas along the Gulf Coast all the way through Florida, Georgia, and into the Carolinas with 90s, triple digits in south central Texas approaching 110 this afternoon, and extending into the weekend, a lot of record highs expected across the southern U.S., U.S. If you're in the northern U.S., areas like North Dakota, a few days ago, we're at the 100-degree mark for 2 days in a row, and we're in the 50s, maybe upper 40s on the end of the weekend on Sunday, and the cooler air will prevail across the north. So if you want some refreshing, cooler air, that you get is going to be in the northern U.S. and the Northeast as we go into early next week. In fact, looking at the temperatures through the entirety of next week, going through the 24th of May, coolest of our air will be from the upper Midwest, Great Lakes into the Northeast. Warmest of our air will be Texas along the Gulf Coast and into Florida, and then parts of California. The foothills could be pretty warm out there as well. This orientation with a ridge over the top towards central Canada, and then you have a weak ridge down here into Mexico and along the Gulf Coast, it's squeezing our low pressure systems in between, so that is going to cause a lot of active weather right there into the central and eastern United States, and some soaking rains too. So even though you don't see severe weather in places like South Dakota, southern Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, and Illinois, Indiana, here mostly northern Indiana, the soaking rains are going to be very beneficial for the growing drought and dry conditions up there, and a couple inches could result especially into early and middle portion of next week. Now, the last week of May, this is May 24th through the 31st, cooler air will prevail from the northern Rockies all the way down into the eastern U.S. A ridge builds here across the south and southwest that could promote some warmer temperatures. You can see that ridge building, and if it does build strong enough, we could actually start to see some storm clusters here, those mesoscale convective systems that we see more likely in June and July and August. That season, the MCS season, could start to ramp up as we go into the last week of May for the northern plains and into the Midwest. So something we're keeping an eye on, and that could pose a risk again for more severe weather. Well, thank you all for watching. I definitely appreciate it. Make sure to give a like down below to get this information to more and more people. Any questions, comment below and subscribe to the channel as well. I'll see you all in the next video.